Welcome back to our series on intuition with Janell. In the first two videos, we explored the fundamentals of intuition and practical application. In this third video, we're addressing the most common misperceptions and challenges about intuition. Specifically, we'll answer these questions. Why do people resist their intuition? How do you overcome these blocks? How do you balance your analytical mind with your intuitive insights? What role does ego play in intuitive decision making? Have you ever found yourself doubting your intuition or wondering if it's just your mind playing tricks on you? In this video, Janell provides practical advice on how to distinguish between genuine intuition and logical interference. Plus, Janell will give you suggestions on how to proactively use your intuition for the most fulfilling, purposeful, filled life. Let's discover how you can harness your inner wisdom to navigate life's challenges and opportunities with confidence. Developing Your Intuition, Part 3, Overcoming Blocks and Activating Inner Wisdom. Janell Rae, raising the vibration of everyone we touch. All right, we got some questions on resistance to intuition. Like, why would people resist their intuition? So the first one here is, what are some of the biggest blocks people experience that prevent them from trusting their intuition?
Fear.
Fear.
Fear. It failed them. They failed at something. They felt failure. I'm not enough. However failure appeared to them. They had maybe family members that held high expectations and they didn't feel like they measured up, or they had to achieve to be successful. And so there was always a condition around it. And intuition can be it's organic, and it can look and feel kind of messy. And that can be also fearful, give us fear. I may not look as put together if I follow my intuition.
Yeah, because it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. It can look messy. It can look unorganized at times for different ones of us. Some of us with giftedness, our giftedness is in the ADHD space. It can look like I can't keep time. It can look like I can't be organized. It can look like I have impulse control. Now, when I'm wearing my learning specialist hat, we give different tools that help us self-regulate and things like that. In that, however, I have observed that ADHD, people with ADHD often have this incredible intuitive gift set. So being able to be that flexible, that spontaneous is often connected directly to that intuitiveness.
But they initially might see it as a disadvantage when it's actually an advantage.
It's a huge advantage. And skill-wise, it's just off the charts, like what they can do, what their abilities to do. So things that keep us from our intuition is fear of it, not understanding it. It's showing up as a problem. That's how mine showed up. It showed up as a problem. I was failing at school. I was overwhelmed. I could feel everything. And I couldn't stand, it was just too much to be around a bunch of crowds of people. And I wanted to be fixed. Intuition was not helping me. And I didn't realize what I was shutting down, but that's what I shut down.
Yeah, just having you answer this question, it's when you talk about be, do, and have. And a lot of times people start out with the have. Like, I want to have this. I want to have these gifts, or I want to have this money, or whatever it is. But then if you look back, the predecessor to that is do. What am I doing to create that have? And then the predecessor to that is be. Who do I have to be? And so if you as a being are off line, you're misaligned, then you're going to be doing things that are not perfect, they're not aligned with you, and you're going to have results that are not really what you're, talking to your heart is really has your heart. So on this, I'm just thinking of the stuff you've said before, if you get back to the being part, and you get that right, and that's your purpose, that's understanding your gifts, that's all those things, then you're going to be doing things that feel right, that are right, and you're going to have the life you want. You're going to have the things, all that.
Exactly.
All All right, the next question is, how can someone overcome a tendency to be overly analytical or logical in a way that is overriding their intuition? So back to the mind and the heart. Like if someone is just so conditioned in this, what's something they could do to kind of change that up?
Practice. And be happy with baby steps. I think that decide what your intention is. Why do you want to connect to your heart? And what's that quote Einstein had about our intuition and our mind?
It's we basically the mind is the servant and the heart is the master, but we've flipped the order around and we made this basically the master. I found the quote by Einstein and decided to insert it here. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Albert Einstein. We've spent how many years studying in school, training our mind? And you're like, no, I'm ready to switch. So understanding that you neurologically have wired yourself to follow your brain. And there's going to be a possible fear piece. If I don't follow my brain, how can this work? We want control. When we're following our heart, it feels like we don't have control. We've lost control. But why do I need that much control? Get curious about it. Why do I need to structure this? I need to plan everything out. I need to have all this Why? What's driving that?
I'm not saying it's not needed even, but what's driving that? Mm-hmm. The heart guides us through nudges, knowings, sight, feeling, hearing.
Yeah.
And that just gives us a whole new perspective, broader, bigger. I think we need so much control because we're not getting that data. We're afraid. If you have more data to move and navigate with, do you need such a chokehold on stuff?
No.
I don't think so.
If you had all the pieces of the puzzle.
If you have a lot more pieces.
And all the crayons or whatever.
Yeah, at least more of them.
Yeah. You're not going to be so like, I can't lose this one.
Yeah, it's fear and fear of loss. So there's going to be some showing. It's going to be in this work. You're going to start seeing some things that, I'm ready for some healing on that. I'm ready for some faith on that. Why do I need this so much? And your intuition will take you there. It'll help you expand there.
All right. The next group here is intuition and related to our capabilities or abilities. And the first one is intuition as it relates to our sixth sense. And what's your feeling on that? Intuition and a sixth sense. Is it the same? Is it different?
It's one of the intuitive gifts. A sixth sense is one of the gifts.
It's a way we describe it.
It's a word that's been chosen to describe something that somebody has a gift in. Yeah. And it can show up a sixth sense of a feeling. It can be a sixth sense of a knowing. But it's one of the gifts. Yep.
Okay. And the next one on this category is you have intuition and then you have ego. And some people are asking, like, how do I distinguish between if this is like, let's say, a legitimate download or legitimate guidance versus my ego that says, oh, I want to do this, for hedonistic purposes or for, like, so how do you distinguish those between, okay, this one is my higher self, this one is like true guidance versus this is kind of like my humanism and my ego
stroking my ego,
trying to go for
I'm going to be wealthy because I'll be powerful, and I need power because why? Is there anything wrong with having wealth? Is there anything wrong with having power? No. Absolutely not. But what's my motive? Is it love-based? Is it fear-based? Am I not? These things we think, am I enough? I'm not enough, therefore I must have control. I'm not enough, or I must have power. I am, that's we can boil so many things down to the fear of I'm not enough. And, we've watched different sports, documentaries. Love them. Love watching great coaches through time. Some of the iconic coaches that have just been amazing. And they're coaching some people with huge egos.
Yeah.
Huge egos. And in the sense of somebody having that kind of, I got this. Oh, and they come in with this power. Okay. Now, if at the core of that, I have to smash you to feel better, what's at the root of that?
I'm not enough.
I'm not enough. If I have to smash you to feel human,
yeah,
or feel like I dominate, under that somewhere, I'm not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, if I want to have the tallest building in town, I go around and knock down everyone else's building. I mean, that's not the best way versus just building a skyscraper if that's really what you want to do. Is
it root? I'm not enough. So I'm going to propose that it's really not about ego or not ego. I think I'm going to propose that we're going to come down to a root. Am I doing this because I love this and I believe in myself to the degree that I am massive when I get on the court? Or am I doing this because I have somewhere under here and I have busted my ass and trained and become this monster of a competitor because really underneath that, I'm not enough. So self-reflection, some honest self-reflection helps us delineate between is this of love or not of love. I think we can come down to those two things.
Okay, because if it's not of love, it's going to be basically ego-based for this question anyway. It would be
if you want to put that on it, sure. There's some lower vibe.
And if it is love, it's your higher self. It's legitimate, that type of thing.
Yeah, so. and that can be strong. Some people have the picture that if I'm acting out of love, that it's soft and full of fluffy fur. I'm the little bunny rabbit. And I'm going to say I can have self-love and roar like a lion. I can be full of love, energy, and breathe fire like a dragon. And it's like that's being full of love isn't necessarily soft and fuzzy all the time or weak. Love can be massively strong, have massive presence. But the difference is that my massive presence isn't because I have to dominate to be here. I just am. And I feel we have the most presence and the most power when we embrace that. I am here and so are you. It's not a competition. And maybe that's part of that too, if we want to bring the ego word in. I feel, but it must mean I'm not enough. Why do I have to compete with you? There's space for every single one of us in our full-on capacity, which we're still figuring out. I mean, we're just scratching the surface. Step into your full physical capacity, step into your full intuitive energy capacity, and you will be massive. Massive.
I can just feel it.
Yeah. And there's room for all of us, and there's space for all of us to stand in that kind of capacity.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about like if everyone was at that level. So it is I'm competing against me. If you want to compete against anyone, you're competing against you. If we were our best selves, if we were in that space, I just imagine how incredible this world would be.
Yeah.
Versus I've got to beat you, I've got to crush you, that type of thinking. Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different energy.
Totally different energy. Yeah. So it's not about being massive. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I know we got to wrap this up, but a few last questions here. And this is on applying intuition. I know you love to apply things. I mean, that's one thing that I will be like, oh, look at this, look at that. And you're like, okay, are you applying that? How does that work?
How does that work?
So this one you're going to really like. And on applying intuition, the questions were basically about being proactive, so kind of seeing the future, that kind of thing, versus being reactive, like recovering from mistakes or whatever you want to call them. So how can intuition be more proactive? So people are not just picking up the pieces and trying to recover, but they're actually helping be on a path or guiding them in a way that's for their best.
Yeah. The being proactive, applying intuition means setting the intention to practice it, to be aware of it, to learn. Be the kiddo in the sandbox. Be willing to explore in play, in the spirit energy of play. We want to get heady on it. We want to just dissect it. We want to go heady. And it's like, okay, take a back seat, brain. So application is love your brain enough to allow it to take breaks. It's benched for just a little bit. And then you go into the playground, get on the swings, go ride your bike, even if it's just figuratively, with the spirit of exploration. To apply intuition is to go into it with the form of exploration within the spirit of fun. I like this. And then become the observer of yourself, not the critic, the observer. When you go into the space to have fun, how does it show up for you? Feeling, pictures, smell, auditory in your mind, a little bit of all. Take notes of it. Jot it down. Draw the picture you saw. And then putting those, each time you go in with the intention to understand yourself, to understand your intuition. And you draw that, write that, whatever your modality is, whatever's best for you. Speak it into your recorder on your phone. Put those pieces together, and now you're creating a puzzle. And then you will begin to see, oh my gosh, that's how I work. We think I've got to pick, you said we got to heal, we do heal. But see that as an opportunity to understand who you are. And then set the intention to follow and trust your intuition. And it'll scare the bejeebies out of you at first. Because it's not something that you've done a lot of. And it could look vulnerable. Why? Because it's the most authentic you. When I'm just not really working in my most authentic space, and I've got whatever persona's up to get a job done, or I'm just doing this task, it's not directly connected to who I am. Therefore, if it's excellent, medium, whatever, and it's totally acceptable by society, then there's no worries about it. It's easy to do that. It doesn't take faith to do that. It doesn't take a whole lot of courage to do that. But when you step out in your intuitive guidance, you will have the sense often that holy moly, all of a sudden you're vulnerable. Yeah. All of a sudden there's no pre-made box for that. It's easy to live within pre-made boxes. Not incredibly satisfying, but a whole lot easier. Because the box is already made for us and we can just put it on. But when you're walking out and practicing and living in your most authentic self, that intuitive side of you, you're taking steps that sometimes don't look so normal. And you're creating things that are out of the box because that's what you're here for.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of you and your own journey, just like as you've evolved, just taking on that identity, explaining it to friends and family, and just that whole thing. Because in the beginning I was like, what? What are you talking about? What is this? Especially if someone has no idea of what you're talking about, so it's like, but you knew like this was the path.
Yeah.
And you could stay in the safe lane and be unfulfilled and meet societal expectations and those types of things, or you could really tap into your heart, really tap into your intuition, really follow your highest self and what you're aimed for, and just have an amazing experience. But you're not in the herd and you're not following, normal, because it's guiding you in different ways. It
is. Boxes or societal norms we have the belief that this is what's acceptable. And it's what it is. And that has been formed. And if we try to form our lives and make our lives based on this, we are shorting a huge part of what we can become. We're shorting ourselves. We will feel like I am not enough because I cannot be all that I am within that space. We're not designed, any of us, to be in that space exactly as it's dictated. We're designed to be very unique. And in our uniqueness, There is absolute power and fulfillment for everybody.
If you are interested in learning more about intuition, check out the many videos Janell has on this topic. You can also go to her website at janellrae.com or contact Janell via email janell@janellrae.com. Thank you for being here. We look forward to seeing you next time.